Today I am going to discuss the energy flow in ecosystem. So where does the energy comes from? The energy comes from the sun. Sun is the source of all the energy. So the solar energy is taken up by the plants for the conversion of the solar energy into chemical energy. So this process is called photosynthesis. During the photosynthesis, during this photosynthesis, plants take carbon dioxide and water from the soil in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. In presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, they convert this to the chemical called carbohydrates, CH2O. This is the empirical formula for the carbohydrates with the release of oxygen. So they take carbon dioxide and release oxygen to the atmosphere, and this process is called as photosynthesis. Here what happens, the solar energy is converted to the chemical energy, and this energy flow is governed by two laws. The energy flow in ecosystem is governed by two laws. First law of thermodynamics and the second law of thermodynamics. So now I am going to state the first law of thermodynamics and say that one form of energy can be converted to another form of energy. Here the solar energy is converted to chemical energy, and that is justified by the first law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics. So what does the first law of thermodynamics states? The first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be converted from one form of energy to another form of energy. So what is the energy that is getting converted here in the ecosystem is the solar energy is getting converted to chemical energy. Since one form of energy can be converted to another form of energy as per the first law of thermodynamics, the first law of thermodynamics is obeyed in the ecosystem. Next, the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics is also obeyed. The second law of thermodynamics is also obeyed in the energy flow in ecosystem. What does the second law states? Whenever energy is transferred, a part of the energy is wasted. This is the second law. Whenever energy is transferred, a part of the energy is wasted. So the energy flows here from plants, and the plants are taken as a food by the sheep, and sheep is taken as the food by the tiger. So the energy flow in this direction. The energy flow is always unidirectional in nature. The energy flow is unidirectional, one-way flow. The energy flow only in this direction, from sun to the plants, and from plants to the primary consumer, from primary to secondary and tertiary, and so on. So the energy flows through this tropic level, from producer to the consumer, and from the consumer to the decomposer. So here I apply the second law. During the energy flow, 80 to 90% of energy is wasted. 80 to 90% of energy is wasted. Only say about 10% of energy is allowed transferred. So 80 to 90% of the energy is wasted and only 10% of the energy alone gets transferred. Therefore, the second law is also obeyed. What the second law states? Whenever energy is transferred, a part of the energy is wasted. So here 80 to 90% of the energy is wasted at each tropic level. What for? For the purpose of respiration, for walking, for running, and various other activities. 80 to 90% of the energy is wasted, and only 10% of the energy gets effectively transferred from one tropic level to another tropic level. The tropic levels are producers, consumers. The consumers are primary, secondary, and tertiary.